What is it you'd say you do around here all day? Right? That's a funny line from a movie. But real talk, if you've been in your career 10, 15, 20 years and you still can't explain what you actually do or what value you bring, you're not broken. You're just overdue for a story reset. Hi, I'm Sam, career and leadership coach, founder of Lead the Game. And here's the deal. The more experience you gain, the harder it gets to tell a clear story. You've done too much, you've played too many roles, and now the narrative's muddy. Back in my early leadership days, I hit a moment where I looked around and I thought, what do I even do here besides sit in meetings all day? It wasn't burnout, it wasn't boredom, it wasn't because I wasn't providing value. It was identity fog. I was just going through the motions, doing all of the things that I needed to do to help my team, to improve our outcomes, to help our customers. And I just didn't have enough of that step back moment and really look at what I was doing and what value I was bringing. And I've come to realize that that question, what is it that I do around here? It doesn't go away. I hear it from clients all the time. I don't even know how to explain what I do. I'm afraid I can't make a change because I can't articulate my value. I'm just floating around on my reputation right now. These are smart, experienced, high level leaders, and they still feel unclear. So if that's not you, you're not the exception, you're the pattern. The problem isn't your experience. It's not your resume. It's not even your confidence. It's that the story has gotten too big, too blurred, too tangled up in different titles, functions, and priorities. And that's where we get to the fix, right? What do you do when you're feeling this? When I coach somebody in this space, we always go to two things. First, we look ahead, right? Where do you want to go next? What matters to you now? What are your non-negotiables? I've got a structure for that. And that's the obvious piece, right? Like if I feel foggy, what am I trying to do? What am I trying to move towards? Like, let's articulate it in the frame of that. But then, and this is the part people severely underestimate, is we go back and we look at your stories, the ones where you rose to the occasion, the ones where you figured it out, the ones where your effort actually changed something. Hell, the ones you still feel excited about thinking now, today, even years or months after it happened. And here's the framework I use to unpack those stories with every client. I use the STAR framework, and that's STARR, so two R's on the end. And the extra R is what people skip over, forget, and really miss an opportunity on. So S stands for situation. This is where you tell me the context of the story. What was going on? What challenge were you facing? What are the details that you know, right? Like, what's the backstory to the situation that you found yourself in? And this T, the second thing is task. What were you responsible for? What were you charged to do, right? What was the target? What was the goal of the situation, right? Like, are in this situation and we needed to fix what? We needed to do what? And then the third thing, the A, is action. What actions did you take, right? And this is where it's really hard. You got to step out of the collective, we did this as a group. I'm talking you. What things did you do in this moment, in this situation, to get towards this task that landed in a result? And that's what the next R is result. What happened because of you? What are the metrics, the outcome, the impact? Make it as specific, make it as tangible as you can. And the last R is reflection. What did you learn? How did it shape who you are now? What lessons fell out of that you carry forward with you into who you've become today, right? It's that, well, we got to this result, and what I learned is it's all about X to do this again, right? And so now when I face a similar situation, I always make sure that I do that thing, right? So it's that reflection. And this comes from, the thought process. And one of my favorite quotes that John Maxwell has is that experience isn't the best teacher, evaluated experience is, right? It's when we take that moment, we take that step back, and we really think about, what did I learn? Why did I make the choices that I make? What would I do differently? What would I do the same in the future? And that's where your identity really starts to happen. It's where your leadership voice comes through. It's where you stop sounding like your title and start sounding like your value. You've got to look at your story through the lens of why the situation was better because you were there, because you were involved. What's the before and after comparison from the situation to the result? What was the impact to customers, employees, leadership, to people? And how is that better because of your actions, right? So when we think about it, it's this lens of value. It's this lens of what did I do? What were the things that I contributed to the situation that improved someone's experience, improved someone's life at the end of the day? I had somebody who was telling me about operational efficiencies that they were doing. So it was that a lot of different groups were using a lot of different systems, procedures, processes, tools to basically serve customers. And so they led this entire project initiative to bring all of those things into into one process, into harmonization and typical operational result, right? And by the end of it, the result was that they had done all of that. But the question that we really explored, and the thing that you should really think about, is what did that mean, right? When you harmonized all of this, when you brought all of the processes and procedures and tools into one coherent system, how did that improve people's lives? How did that make things better? And so again, like if you think about that through the lens of comparison, it's before leadership had no insight into what was going on because they had to go to 15 different tools to figure out what the 15 different organizations were doing. Customers who owned multiple products across the suite had to follow a bunch of different processes, right? It's a clunky, bad experience for them, right? So we couldn't even improve it because the leadership, again, didn't have the visibility, right? So it was a lot of confusion. It was a lot of, inconsistent experience, bad experience for customers. And once we harmonized, once we did everything, then leadership could see what were the trends, what was happening. We could make right decisions to help our customers in a different way. And the customer experience improved because they could show up to us as one front and do everything in one space, right? It was easier for them to engage. They could get help faster, better, with less friction. And so when you think about it through that lens, right, think about it through the lens of how you're helping, how you're impacting people, because that insight changes how you talk about yourself. It changes how you approach interviews. It changes what you go after, right? When you can really think about yourself as how am I helping someone because of the actions that I'm doing. So here's your play this week. Pick one story, just one, something you're proud of, something you worked hard for, something that reflects you at your best, something where you're like, oh yeah, this was good, right? When these things are happening. Then I want you to run it through that STAR framework, the STARR. Write it down, read it out loud, ask yourself, what does this show me about how I lead? What was better because I was in the room? How does that connect to where I want to go next? That story is your clarity. That story is your edge. That story is how you stop getting lost in the bullet points and start showing up with the direction. The resume will come, the LinkedIn will follow, but the version of you who's ready for what's next, that actually starts in your stories, and it starts right here. So if you want help doing any of that work in real life with real coaching tools, real game plan, I've got a career reboot boot camp that starts next Friday, and it's going to run for 12 weeks. So if you want real life coaching, if you want to walk through all of this to really connect with who you are and then put that into play with the tools that you need to then figure out and move forward with what's next for you, whether that's a change in career, change in job, promotion, or just showing up better at work. The doors are still open. You can still join. The link will be in the show notes. If you want to read more about the STAR framework, definitely check out the blog that I posted this week. It came out on Wednesday, so check that out in the Career Locker Room. And as always, I hope that you put down the popcorn and get in the game.